Hey, so thought I would do a quick little video going through my comic, Faceless in the Family issue 1 by Oni Press. Now, if you don't know, this was actually crowdfunded first, and that's this version right here for comparison. It was a little bit bigger than standard comic book size. I think it was 8.5 by 11, if I'm not mistaken. No, something like that. But I should probably know that. But anyway, it was, black and white cover. But eventually, people backed the book, and then that's kind of the end of it. Unless you have a publisher, which was really cool to have Oni reach out and want to distribute it to a bigger audience. So it's pretty much the same thing. But for those who don't know, it's a black and white book, except for the covers. This was colored by Dave Stewart. And also the logo, I wanted a new, I guess you could say professional logo. This one I did by hand, and I think it's cool, it works, but I don't love it. I liked it at the time. I think, I worked in some of these cross-hatching things, and it's just not the clearest. I don't know. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. And if I'm not mistaken, that was done by Carrie Susie, who did all the design. Well, actually, it might say it here. Well, shout out to whoever did it. It looks good. It's kind of got a Richard Corbin thing to it, and it's cool because you can see the line art through it. So there's that. The cover itself, at first I was really stumped. Because at the time I drew this, the entire book was done. The whole story was done, I should say. And you're kind of having to go back and revisit it and think about, covers are kind of their own thing. So, but eventually somehow this hit me, this image. Not exactly, but because throughout the whole story, you never really see his face. Faceless, he's the main protagonist. And here, right on the cover, you get a little glimpse. And it's half covered by shadow. You can see he's carrying this thing. You might not even know from the cover that that's what will soon be his helmet / mask. And it's a pipe. Some people ask to this day, they don't even know what it is. Which I get, it's a little odd looking, but I'm kind of rambling here. But yeah, I'm not one to give advice to artists or anything, but sometimes people ask me, and one thing I could say is, if you can wait and you have the time and you're not under some crazy deadline, it really pays off to wait, because I can always come up with something on the spot, but I didn't have a great idea just out of the gate. I had this, and I thought it was solid, but we needed a new, fresh cover for the new release. But I couldn't just redo this. And like I said, I was stumped. I really didn't know what to do. And then somehow this just, and this is also where the story starts. So in the very beginning, I guess just dive right into it. Okay, credits page. So in the very beginning, he starts, we don't really know where he is, but he's clearly in some kind of a dark, shadowy place. We've got a little lantern here, and we see this figure. Here, I'll move it up for you. He's just chilling in a little pipe. And we soon find out, we see him leave. He's climbing up whatever this is. And it's revealed that he's been hiding in a fallen statue that is, half buried by the earth of this city, wherever he is. So going back to the cover, I thought that was a good idea too. Part of it, first thing you see is where he is. And it starts off with him basically being done hiding, because we find out he was once a part of this gang that is hidden within this city, and we see them pictured here. But he left the gang, and he doesn't want his family to be killed, so instead he just hides in this statue for 10 years, and he just sneaks out for food, goes back, and he uses this pipe as a disguise. But we start the story where he's done with it. He's finally had enough. He's leaving. He doesn't even know where he's going, but he's going. And if they catch him, he'll go down with a fight with the same training that he got from his gang. So we even get, this is from his point of view, he's getting a little flashback of what he used to do. And this was kind of actually both of these panels were what I thought were kind of a creative way to, I wouldn't necessarily call it a flashback, but it's almost like in real time you're seeing 50-50. You've got how he looks now, and then the gang uniform on the other half. You even got his belt, half of it just sort of vanishes. So same thing here, it's just a different way of doing it. You've got the gang mask, and you've got the pipe helmet, half of it there. So if anyone read this and they were just wondering, that's what that's about. So then, by the way, this is 48 pages, and it was what was originally the first 2 issues. So, and by the way, as of recording this, 3 are out right now. So if you want to get on that, still plenty of time. And there will be another collected book coming out through Oni, but it'll be hardcover. So, pretty cool. So anyway, we meet this guy, another traveler. And originally this was meant to be, this is the other thing. This is kind of like the second or third iteration of this story. Initially I wanted this to be a very, hopefully not in a bad way, but a long drawn out journey where that would be a big part of it, where we've got this guy who we just met. He's walking for miles, and he does kind of encounter this other guy. He's got all his stuff, and they just sort of have these awkward encounters. He thinks he's following him, and eventually they sort of meet up. But, you know, you've got to move the story along, and, you know, I mean, some people will say you need to get into the action page 1, page 2, which I don't necessarily agree with that, but I kind of had to condense things down. And basically what I'm saying is a big part of the concept of this was these misfit, odd characters on this world. They come together along this long journey, and that would take time to have them sort of, you know, join forces, I guess. But, you know, that could take 10 issues on its own to really pace it out the way you'd want it. But I had to rewrite it, edit it down. Part of that was me trying to get it picked up, honestly, in the very beginning. Because it went through a big saga of like being picked up, almost got picked up, dropped. Then I decided to crowdfund it, but you know, I won't bore people with that. So anyway, they keep going. They're still kind of, there's a distance there. They're not fully, you know, family at this point. But anyway, we meet another traveler, and she's clearly running away from something. And that was just the way I thought of introducing her. Like, all you see is this character running away from something horrifying. Then you get a little glimpse, oh, someone's chasing her. So then they kind of come together, Faceless and, can't remember if I said his name, Giant Jerry. They come together through, by the way, there's going to be some spoilers in this. So if you haven't read it yet and you don't want to have it ruined, I mean, this isn't too bad. It's right in the beginning, but anyway, yeah, there's this giant wart because it's revealed later on, but there's a reason why there are these warts that sort of just erupt from the earth in certain areas. And this is one of the small conflicts in the world. But I remember that panel. I'm pretty happy with it now. But that thing might have taken me a week. I don't know. But that was also part of the part of the idea with this. Going into this comic, like, I had this style where I did all these different textures, but I had never really fully put that into a comic. I mean, I dabbled with it, but going into this, I decided I need to try this. I think it looks, at least in my opinion, it looks better than what I was doing before. It just takes so long, but I figured it was worth the gamble of time, and so I just kind of went for it. And for the most part, I'm happy with that decision. It got, you know, pretty good response, I think, for the most part. So, yeah. So anyway, they're in trouble. This monster emerges from the ward. Just kind of, it's part of just setting up the world, I guess. Her name is Carp, by the way. Don't know if I said that either, but she falls, gets stuck under the rocks. They take down this monster, and they notice a little house in the distance, which was also going to be a big part of the story. This was meant to be, actually, in one version of it, it was going to be almost all the story was going to be just taking place in this ominous, empty house in the middle of the desert where these lone wanderers come to. Some characters would be good, some characters would be bad, but it would all revolve around this one house. And a big part of the inspiration from that was the movie The Invitation from, I think, 2015 or 2016. If you haven't seen it, check it out. The concept is pretty similar, except it's more of a horror movie, I guess. I guess you could call it a horror movie. Basically, there's a dinner party, a bunch of old friends come to this strange house, except I think it's in LA. But weird things start happening within the house, and then certain people come and go. People come and go. Strange things are kind of happening, but anyway, I thought the movie was great. First time I saw it, I instantly, after I was done, I got the concept for the initial idea for this. I was like, oh, what if you could take that in another direction? Like, these characters who don't know each other, they're kind of these wanderers in this odd place, odd world, and they notice this house that's all on its own, just like they are. So it kind of draws them in, and they find things within the house. They come together, but then they're, mysterious characters that aren't so good, and that would be its own conflict. But long story short, to stop rambling, I kind of decided that wasn't exciting enough. That who's going to want to read a story about characters just being in a house and talking, basically, because not that much else was going to happen. And I didn't know if I could fully pull that off. That was part of it too. So eventually this morphed into a long journey because they're in the house, they discover some coin. It's just, that's the monetary whatever system in this world. They don't have dollars, they have coin. It's just a blank thing. They find like cans of food to survive. And so Faceless reveals that he wants to get facial reconstructive surgery. And they have just enough with, if they use all this coin that they found, but they're splitting it because they both found it. But Giant suggests that he takes all of it, Faceless takes all of it, and they go on the journey to get the surgery. Because he doesn't want any money. He's got all the things in the world he could want. We see he's got all this stuff. So he's not really needing things. What he wants are memories. So a big comparison you can make is Wizard of Oz. it's part of, actually either midway through or towards the end, I kind of realized like, oh, this is kind of a Wizard of Oz-esque thing where each character wants something and they're going on this journey. But there is one clear protagonist. So yeah, he wants a new face. Giant wants memories. That's all he wants, just new memories, because he hasn't made any in the past few years. But so anyway, he agrees, he takes the money, but he says it's harder than that because they will need to travel across this entire desert to Pinky Town. So basically it's revealed that this is the world where the story takes place, the Hand Planet. And so the story starts here in the Palm. It's the flat, like one-story area of the town where regular people live. A lot of these are like shack-type buildings. You can actually see some of that detail in the beginning. It's not fully explained, but you get the idea. Like, if you look closely, a lot of these structures are just kind of cobbled together. You know, different materials. You got tile, wood, brick, a lot of fencing. A lot of people eat outdoors. You can see there are little tables and chairs outside because the homes are so small. Not only that, the roads are just the earth of the Hand Planet, and you've got some pipes from below that are bursting out. They're not repaired. You got more here. So yeah, a lot of thought went into the world. And so they might be where we're seeing them now. They might be like here. They're just outside the Palm, which is right here. And then these are the finger cities, and they're each guarded off by ring borders, and there's guards there too. So even if they can make the journey, there's no way they can get in. You basically need to know someone there, you need to work there, or someone needs to let you in. You can't just get in unless you're basically someone from there, or you have business or something like that. But Giant says, let's do it. What do we have to lose? I want to make memories. You want the face. We've got the money. Let's go for it. So that's kind of the inciting incident, I guess. You know, it kicks off what this story is about. And so then we see Carp. We see her little carpenter hammer, and she manages to finally break free. And we see something going on there. Is that a robotic leg? I think it is. So she runs off, and we see the house in the distance. And we got more warts. The gang is sleeping. And then, oh, she erupts another wart. That wakes them up. They see her outside. And then they invite her in. So now she's a part of the crew. We learn a little bit more about Carp, her background. And again, this was meant to be more of a drawn out. I would have liked this to be almost like Lord of the Rings in the way that, you know, there are moments that maybe can even feel boring, but they're necessary to have certain things make sense. They're taking so long. If you just rush it, it can feel rushed. But again, I've only got so many pages to work with here. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but yeah, I would have liked this to be, you know, maybe this is a whole issue, her just being in the house. But quickly we learn it's an old creaky house. We got the lettering underneath the floorboards, and they hear something. It's a wart. It's a giant wart, explodes the house. And that was the idea I had to kind of put an end to the whole house thing. Like, we need to get this journey going. No one's going to want to read a whole book about people in a house. At least not for me. So they're all, you know, I'm having a little bit of fun with the woodwork, and they're exploding out from the house. We've got the couch. And we learn about, at least Carp learns about the journey. She's down. She's going to go with them. We see more of these figures from before. And that's basically where the first issue would normally end. So we're only halfway through now. So you're getting a bang for your buck here. I mean, I would hope. That's where I initially wanted the first issue to end, but we agreed that it would make sense to do a double first issue. So, and they've come upon this wall that she was just trying to get over, and she got stuck. So we know that they're following her. We don't know why, but it doesn't look good. So we know it's confirmed. They're after her. I'm gonna be honest. Here is where the art. Maybe I shouldn't highlight this, but this is the creator's commentary. This is where the art takes a little bit of a dip, in my opinion. For one reason or another, it just, I don't know. There was a number of reasons. I don't really want to get into it, but a lot of this segment here I don't love. You know, it works, but maybe that's just being hypercritical, but I don't know. It is what it is. So we've got this fight scene. These guys, these mysterious guys, they want Carp to come back with them. We don't know what that's about. And they're trying to like almost take her away or something. It's pretty weird. So a battle ensues. They're holding their own. Giant gets slashed pretty badly. Faceless knocks the guy down, and he takes his flannel and ties it up. You know, don't want to bleed out. He pretty brutally finishes him off, and he gets blindsided by the other individual, and his helmet goes off. His face is revealed. But the only one who sees it is Giant. And what happens is there's nothing wrong with his face, according to Giant. He sees that it's fine. It's completely fine. Why does he want to get this surgery? What is he hiding? And Faceless tells him, it doesn't need to be changed. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. We're going. I'm not hiding anything. So another fight kind of stews up, because what is he? He's lying. He's got to be lying. From what he saw, we don't see it, but yeah. So here I think, well, yeah, I guess the art's picking up again a little bit. You know, I like this little bit here where he's kind of grabbing his jacket and he's like, what's going on? And we see a lone traveler, another guy. So essentially this first issue is being introduced to who will be the family. So this is a homeless man. He basically just says, blah, 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 it's not worth it, don't fight. Anyway, I don't want to bother you. And we learned that he was actually woken up. He was sleeping, just on the road. And they're like, hey, why don't you just join us? He's like, well, we find out that he woke up one day and his wife, who he was homeless with, was just suddenly wasn't there. And so that's what he's looking for. So it's the perfect excuse for him to go on the journey. He's been looking for her. We learned that here. And maybe she'll be in Pinkytown. Who knows? So they're gonna go together. We learn more about him. He joins the group, and they see in the distance Pinkytown. They're almost there. This was kind of a tough. I mean, I think I did a solid job of what I was going for. Wanted it to feel like it's in the distance. It's maybe miles, like a few miles away, but it's close enough that you can still see it. Like that was kind of meant to be like, oh, there it is in the distance, but we can still make out all the buildings. You can even see there are some smaller ones just outside the border, and you've got some depth with, like right here is clearly the foreground, and then you've got a middle ground here, and then right here is, maybe that's a whole mile of its own, if not more. So anyway, they finally reach there hours later. Hours later. And sure enough, they're denied by one of the guards. He won't let them in, and by the way, his name is Hal, or Highway Hal, because all he knows are the roads. And he tells Jerry to just back off. Let's back off. We can find another way. And we meet this individual who says, I know another way. And that's the end of issue 1. Did a little interview here in the back. I don't really love interviews, but you know, it's more for you to read, I guess. So anyway, that's it. That's the first issue. There's no ads. Black and white. This thing took me forever, and yeah. It's out there now in stores if you want to pick it up, you know. There's issue 2. I would maybe do another one of these, but this is the only one I have so far. And yeah, the idea with this cover, as we can see, he's leading them. The story kind of continues with the covers. So he is leading the family through this tunnel or something. Yeah. So I don't know what much more I can say. Yeah, that's issue 1. If you read it, picked it up, thank you for doing that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe I'll do another one of these when I finally get issue 2. Maybe not. I don't know. I just thought, I've seen some people do these on their own comics, and you kind of talk about it and show it off a little bit. So I figured, hey, why not? Yeah. Thanks for watching. Maybe give me a subscribe, a like. Tell your friends about it. Tell your dog about it. And I'll keep making more comics. All right. Good night. Good morning. Bye.